Thank you very much for joining us on One. Definitely, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Of course, a slight correction and reminder that today we will be having a special edition of One. Definitely two editions following each other back to back. And we had told you earlier on that we will be having the Rwanda Energy Group, but of course they'll be joining us in a very short while after this one. For now, let's talk matters traffic. And of course, my guest in studio is none other than Commissioner for Traffic, and he's called George Rumanzi. Thank you so much for joining us on One.
Thank you for having me.
Very quickly, my friend, we'll be looking at the issues of the traffic department and some of the measures that were carried out or taken. Immediately, we saw a rise in road accidents. We'll start from there. Quick clarification on the measures that were taken. We saw some people saying that the fines were increased almost 4 times in order to curb these issues of road accidents. Just clarify for us today, what were those measures that were taken in this regard?
Thank you very much, Eugene. One, a quick one is fines were not multiplied 4 times. Mm-hmm. That's not correct. Mm-hmm. The fines that were being paid then are the same fines paid today.
Really?
But in the new measures, we are thinking of amending the law so that the fines are increased. That's in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. It's not out yet. So you are still paying the same fine like you paid before the road traffic safety month.
Okay, maybe if you can clarify step by step. The issue of if you're found not wearing a seatbelt.
Yes.
Today, is it 90,000?
It's not.
It is not true that it's 90,000. It's how much today?
I would have to check.
You'll have to go back.
It's like 10,000.
10,000 francs. What about the 450,000? There's a figure that was mentioned.
This was in the media, mm-hmm. but I think there was a misinterpretation.
Okay.
Because there was a proposal, mm-hmm. and it's still standing, that the fines should be raised. Because if these fines were set long time ago. Mm-hmm. Some were set in 1987, mm-hmm. others later on. But we want a fine that would dissuade the road user
from committing those crimes.
These road traffic offenses.
Uh-huh.
We are thinking of this, and it's a proposal, but it has to go through the normal
procedures.
Yeah.
So what you're saying today here, you're clearing the air and saying that the media reports we saw that the fines had been increased, some to up to 450,000. It is not true.
It's not true, and we verified that with some newspapers.
Okay. Now let's talk about the issues of when you're thinking of fines, because during this period when these issues were raised, there was that element of how do we get to those numbers. Maybe if you can take us through the procedure of getting to those numbers when we say we would wish the fines to be raised. What is the procedure to get that number?
Well, can I go back? You asked me about the strategies that
mm-hmm.
were put in place mm-hmm. to try and curb this. First of all, I would like to state that if you look at the month of June and July, mm-hmm. Where we had more fatal road traffic accidents, mm-hmm. you would recall that one time in 48 hours we lost 39 people to road accidents.
In just 48 hours?
Yes. And that's when it became almost a national issue. You remember that...
even the president had to say something
had to say that it's unacceptable and that institutions particularly responsible for putting in place road traffic measures should do their work. Mm-hmm. So we have been focusing mainly on prevention. Mm-hmm. And we have been doing this prevention of serious injuries and death. Mm-hmm. And we have managed to curb this from, if we look at August and September, we lost 37 people to road accidents. This is not good. It's nothing to celebrate, but it's a reduction from the 73 that we had in these other 2 months.
So mainly what was the cause? Was it an issue of drunken driving? Was it an issue of the poor quality of the cars, the state of the cars? In your investigations, what were the causes of this?
The most prevalent exceeding speed limits.
Okay, people are overspeeding.
And then there is drink and drive, especially on weekends. You will see this very early in the morning on weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays. Then there is making dangerous overtaking. When you want to overtake, there is poor visibility, you can't see in front of you, and you just overtake. And then, of course, we have poor mechanical conditions of our vehicles. If it's not gone for check, and if it has some problems, you are most likely to cause an accident.
Accidents. Maybe hold that thought before you get into the other element. Let's tear a bit on that issue of the tests, the mechanical tests, and the control technique element.
Yes.
There has been some word that some people's vehicles go through the test, but yet they are not supposed to go through. You see some vehicles on the road, maybe a car in front of you, and the state of that car, you wonder. But when they go through a police check, you see them passing because they have all the documents. Let's talk about corruption at the control technique. How do we have any information, and do we have any cases? What are we doing about that?
I would state that zero tolerance to corruption is the practice in Rwanda National Police.
But do you accept that it could be happening, even if the tolerance
there are some
is zero?
cases. We have had some cases where some police officers were working with some commission agents, so-called commission agents. Our commissioner.
Yes.
So these are people who went and told the vehicle owners that it's quite difficult to have your car go through the test.
Yes.
It takes time, it takes a lot of money. Some policemen won't allow you to do this. So I will do it for you at a cost of this and this fee. But we have, this year, we have seen a drastic decrease in these practices. We arrested them. Some officers were arrested. Some officers were taken to prosecution. Some officers were dismissed from the police. And it is now at its lowest. But we, for the last 3 months, I think we got one case which is being investigated. So yes, there are these malpractices, but zero tolerance is our policy.
Okay, so zero tolerance, no acceptance at all
Yes,
of these practices. Yes. But then, are we winning the battle? Because we also have some in different quarters who probably complain and say, I passed through a police check, a traffic policeman stopped me, I had all my documents, but they told me, Nguriraka soda,
Yes.
give me some soda. How are we dealing with this? Are we going to finish this completely, even as we do this zero tolerance?
It's possible with the collaboration of the general public. And our call is that please report any of these malpractices, someone soliciting money from you, bribes or any sort of corruption. We have toll-free numbers. You can call 3511. You won't pay a penny, and they report this case. You will just call this number. Someone is there to respond to your call immediately, and they will investigate this. You can, any complaint against the police, any misbehavior, whether it is someone seeking, soliciting bribes or otherwise, you can call 997. This is any complaint against a police officer. You can try these numbers, and someone will be there to respond to it. So what we are saying is the general public should give us information. Don't pay these bribes. Just call.
Looking at the upside, maybe you guys have been monitoring the rate at which people are calling, if any is calling. Could you be able to tell us how are things like in terms of these calls, these reports? Are there many? How can we measure
the calls are many, but not all. Some of these are not just providing information. I think this officer behaved in a way that is not professional. We investigated that. I don't know what he wanted. It looks like he wanted a bribe. we respond to that. But and some call to commend the activities of our officers. So the calls are coming, but we would like the general public to use these toll-free lines more.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
There's something I heard and would like you to clarify here, that it is possible for a traffic policeman or woman, for that matter, if you feel you have taken too much, if it's a weekend and you had more bottles than required. This traffic police officer, if you asked them, they're able to drive you to your destination?
Yes.
It is possible?
It is possible, quite possible. It is easier for us to... We have standby drivers. But remember, we shall take you home, we shall prevent an accident, but you will be reliable for your drunkenness. Because
but I didn't drive. I called for the police to help me drive.
I think the Rwandan law does not allow for people to get drunk. Ubusinzi kumugaragaro or something.
So don't you think
it's an offense?
Don't you think this would even make me scared of asking for that assistance to be driven home? Because at the end of the day, even if I'm driven home, they will still follow me.
You
and
still
say,
have an option.
Drunk.
You can call a friend. You can decide to, you have many options. But if your last resort is the police, then we shall help you. Yeah.
Let's talk about the alcohol. In other countries, they call it alcohol.
Yes.
This breathalyzer for testing, for checking the levels of alcohol consumed in a person.
Yeah.
We haven't had much of it so far. What's the situation? What's the status?
We are using them especially on weekends.
On weekends.
We wouldn't like to paralyze, business by testing people in the morning or during working hours. But we target these days and hours when we know that people are most likely to go to bars and consume more than what's necessary. But we use them, and you will see we use them, and we shall keep using them
during the weekends. Mostly during the weekends.
But we have the right to use them anytime. Yeah.
And don't you have any resistance? People telling you, this thing is not a health. It's not healthy for me. Resistance. You get this a lot?
Yes, we get resistance. Of course, someone, especially with people who are drunk, you don't expect full cooperation from such a kind of person. But we have to persuade him, and if not, if he does not test, then we shall record that he declined to test, and it will be in his file, and it's not good either to him. So, but it's healthy because we have it's a single-use tube. This thing you blow in, and we don't use
it with another person.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's healthy.
The placing of roadblocks near clubs or bars or recreational facilities on a weekend. Some have not taken this positively. They say it is scaring away their clients. When a person just sees a roadblock a few meters to a nightclub, it scares away their clientele. Have you been able to deal with this or response to this?
Well, we don't press checkpoints near bars. That's not the case. But sometimes we position officers close to where to drinking joints, where we have seen increase in cases of drunkenness. We would like to prevent accidents by, if we see you staggering from the bar, moving towards your car, we would politely ask an officer should be in the vicinity to test you. So this, if you are scared of meeting the police on your way back home, then please don't drink and drive. It's simple. You can avoid that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to prevent it rather than wait for it to get.
We have nothing to do with the business of we want to see that the driver is not drunk. It's nothing to do with the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the fines, where does it go to? What is it for? Do you have targets? Does that motivate your officers to, get more culprits?
No. Not at all. This is a misconception. People always ask how much. We don't have targets. And actually, I personally don't know how much we generate. Because
fines.
this is not our target. Our target is to prevent road accidents.
And enforce the law.
Then enforce. And by enforcing, it's fines. So this is something to do with government coffers, with relevant ministries. Okay. Nothing to do with the police.
Let's get back to the traffic in terms of the anyway, we are talking traffic, but let's be specific on the issue of road accidents. Among the measures that were raised was the introduction of speed governors.
Yes, sir.
Today, where are we at? And some feel that these are just decisions that are usually raised and then not followed up.
That's not the case. Anyway, among the strategies, the most important one is to change the road users' behavior. Prevention, education, through the media, through meetings. If we can improve the behavior of the driver or any other user, we can prevent 90% of the accidents. And this is done through programs like this one, the road traffic weeks, and other education programs. But if you are not, if this is not working, then we shall enforce the law. And that's fines and checkpoints and deploying more visible police officers on the roads. And then there was a suggestion that we introduce speed governors in public transport vehicles.
When are we going to see them?
This is being processed by the responsible ministry. The Ministry of Transport is working on the laws regulating this. You cannot just introduce them. You have to have the law, the legal framework, and you have to give some transitional period for people to get these equipment. But we are very sure that they can go a long way in reducing accidents. If we had these speed governors in our public transport buses,
they would help.
They would.
So today we still don't have a timeline of when we expect to have them.
We are working with the Ministry of Transport very closely, and it's at an advanced stage, but it's still going through the legal process. But I'm very sure these measures will be introduced. So.
Okay. And how about the motorcyclists? Because less is talked about when we talk about motorcyclists in terms of their speed limits, in terms of how they react on the roads. What's the regulation here in terms of the motorcyclists? Because some quarters have blamed them in many ways of being part of the causes of even the accidents we see today. Yeah.
Motorcycles are used as means of transport in our country. The risk is high when you are using a motorcycle, and we hope when we have an effective public transport system, then motorcycles will reduce. But there is a high demand for their service now. The motorcyclists have got associations, and the police and the other regulatory bodies meet these guys all the time. We want them to behave. We want them to observe road safety measures, like they should always have their helmets on. They should always observe traffic signs, and they should be registered, be known,
just as
behave,
any other
road user.
But then how do you explain the confiscation of motorcycles? We've had those who have complained, they've taken my motorcycle along with me and it has been kept there by the police. How do you demystify that notion that they're being harassed?
Taking your motorcycle is the last resort for the police. Normally, we take your documents, your driving license, or the documents for the motorcycle. But what happens normally in such cases, this motorist realizes that he's going to be fined. The motorcycle is not his; it belongs to his boss.
The boss, yes.
So he thinks that if the police takes his driving license,
it's him who's going to
it is him who is going to pay.
So you
in most cases, they abandon this
motorcycle,
throw them to the ground and run away, and then they will go and tell their bosses that, look, the police took the motorcycle. I don't know what they wanted. I had the driving permit. I had everything. Can you go and check? And we always get these stories from the owners, not the motorists, not the riders. But normally, we won't take your motorcycle if you produce your driving license. You will get a traffic fine for that, and you will have to pay. You will pay later. We only confiscate it if you leave it on the ground and run and flee.
But there are those who said they have even come chasing at them to pick them.
You know, chasing is when you don't stop. What do you do to someone who has declined
to be arrested.
Yeah,
You chase them.
You stop him, he's not stopping. We don't chase because chasing would cause other accidents. But normally they flee because they think if they move slowly, maybe you'll catch them or what. But we normally tell them it's even risky to abandon your motorcycle, to flee and a lot of speeding off. Please stop, present your documents, get a traffic fine, or to avoid all that, obey the laws.
All right.
Simple.
So in conclusion, as we finish, there has been some outcry on the way some suspects are usually handled when probably a traffic offender is arrested and the media is called to come and see them, take photos, interview them, or get some confessions. There's those from other quarters who have complained and said this is illegal and it's not allowed. When you arrest someone, it's not even good to show them to the media. What's your comment on that?
My comment is it is the other way around. It so happens that whenever we're making these arrests, the media is there. The media happens to be there because in many cases I've seen if there is a traffic accident, if there is an arrest, if there is, it's the media that comes.
What of those moments when the media is called?
I don't recall a time when traffic police called the media to if we call it about awareness,
Okay.
but it's not about parading road traffic offenders.
Okay. Thank you so much, Afande, for your time. Asante sana for all the highlights that you've given, and of course we hope that as media will also play our role in helping with curbing the issues of road carnage. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time. Asante, that's it for the one-on-one featuring the Rwanda Police. Of course, we've talked about issues of the traffic mostly, and we're hoping that you'll be taking good care of yourself on those roads. Goodbye for now. My name is Eugene Anangwe. See you again in a very short while.